The puppy on Underdog Fantasy, a $5 entry fee, $50,000 to first place, a $500,000 prize pool. A lot of money up for grabs tonight here on Spike Week. Myself, Erik Beimfohr, and Rob Coakley are going to see if we can put together the winning puppy team even before the schedule gets released later this week. Let's do it. Rob, is it lazy to say, I just need the schedule? I just need, right. Before I even finished it. We have very few landmarks in this weird fantasy football and particularly best ball space that I look forward to. And it's sad that we've chosen this path of a career or a hobby or whatever to where the schedule release in May has such a big impact on my life, but it really does. And obviously we are going to draft tonight without the schedule. We slowly start to get how funny this little space is that, so we know what the opening night game, there was a StubHub leak of the week one matchup for, I believe it was somebody posted in the Discord. This is how sick all the people are that, live in this world that we're in, that are in the Spike Week Discord, which of course there is a link in the description. It's totally free. Posted. So I believe it was StubHub posted. You could buy tickets. I think Patriots. I'm already forgetting what the matchup was.
Was it the Browns Cowboys one?
Or it might have been Browns Cowboys.
Because Brady's on first announcing one.
And StubHub had to send out a nope, sorry, we screwed that up. And then 2 days from now they'll repost it or whatever. But the schedule is coming this week. I'm very excited for it. But I do think that we get very fixated on that schedule, and it does have a lot of importance. But that doesn't mean you can't draft the winning team before the schedule gets released. If you draft a team early in May that ends up with a lot of the right hits, just from a production standpoint, but also the right hits of some things that come together over the course of the offseason, where this let's say Chase Brown goes from the 11th round or whatever to, oh my gosh, we get news later this summer and he's actually the Bengals starting running back. Mm-hmm. These teams now still have a distinct advantage over other teams. And so I'm never going to stop drafting this whole summer, even though we're excited for the schedule.
Yeah. The schedule is going to change a lot of things in the way that I draft. Certain tournaments, I'm not firing as heavy as I normally would, although I'm trying to get some of the DK $20 in. Yeah. I have a road trip on Friday that I have to drive for 6 hours. So you bet your ass I'm going to be, after that schedule releases, trying to memorize the schedule.
What's your license plate number so that everybody knows that this guy's drafting on his phone while he's driving, by the way. So everybody needs to be aware that that's happening if they see you on the roads.
Well, I don't think I'll be driving the majority, but you don't know my license plate? Have I never disclosed my license plate before?
No.
Oh, well, do you even know what kind of car I drive?
No, I don't. I do not. I only know your favorite karaoke song. That's the most intimate detail we know about it. I mean, we know, I don't make that one sound inappropriate, but we know quite a bit about each other, but I don't know the times we've hung out were on other not in your hometown, not in my hometown or whatever. So I don't know anything about the car's license plates or anything.
There's my license plate, just for everyone that wants to know.
For fuck's sake.
If anyone was wondering, that's my license plate. So
that's amazing, though.
Listen,
that's hilarious.
Listen, if you buy a Dodge Challenger, right, you have to have a custom license plate, and what better than Vin Diesel? So
I'm gonna buy a souped up Fast and the Furious car and get Paul Walker on there, and you and I can go race each other. It's also kind of fitting. You look a little more like Vin Diesel. I look a little more like Paul Walker.
Yes. If Vin Diesel grew out his beard, the resemblance is uncanny.
And got shorter and a little less jacked. No offense. And Paul Walker got a lot less good looking than that would be me over here.
Yeah. So I'm going to be using the schedule to draft. I will also announce that there is no week 17 shanty this year. So you cannot use that to learn the schedule. Doesn't mean there's not going to be another one though. So stay tuned.
The comments are I'm trying to keep it together. But the comments are in fuego. Shout out Dorito. Geez, Rob, save some women for the rest of us. Got me pretty good. There's a lot of good ones. You guys are nailing it here in the comments. I appreciate you guys. I don't know what this is. Hoosier says, have you ever had a Paul Walker shot? I don't know if this is going to go down a dark path. I'm not.
It feels like it's going to.
That was not my intention. Bringing up Paul Walker was not to go down a very ominous path, but it's certainly. Oh, this is interesting. Irish car bomb followed by a fireball shot. That is somewhat ominous, but also I believe in comedy, and to put a joke about something ominous, I can still appreciate it. But we are, of course, going to draft a puppy team tonight. Quickly before we hopped in, we're going to draft on Rob's side. You did a draft yesterday. It was a DraftKings draft. We don't need to dive into the solo tight end thing. That was a fire of its own. But I was curious, outside of things like that, what's been like jumping out to you in terms of things that you're trying to really like focus in on right now? A specific player, a specific construction. Everybody knows I'm in the zero RB space, but what's been jumping out to you that you're trying to attack right now?
Well, it is generally zero RB builds with a sprinkle of hero RB stuff, but to get even a little more like down the path of that, it's round 17, 18, 19, 20, depending on where you're drafting. It's late round RBs there, right? I think it's at this point in time in May, there is a clear distinction of the type of players you should be drafting in that round. Do you want, I always bring this guy up, but do you want Tyler Boyd or do you want Tank Bigsby, right? Like in terms of who has more of a path to being relevant towards the end of the year. To me, it's not even close. It's Tank Bigsby at the moment, from the information that we have, probably the clear number 2 there, right? In Jacksonville, or
it's up for debate. I think it's up. That's up for debate. But would you rather draft the potential handcuff to Travis Etienne in the last round with the risk that he's not the handcuff, or draft? This is one of my new catchphrases. As you know, we love the best ball world. Nobody loves stupid, awful catchphrases like the whole best ball planet does. And the whole so someone would say, to your point about Tank Bigsby, he could be a dead roster spot, right? And shout out Mike Leone from ETR. The manifesto was incredible for best ball and incredible research, and he did awesome stuff. But people have taken the dead roster spot thing. I think it's a very descriptive type of situation. It's like, we know very well that if the guy is a 0, that's not great. Like if he's not scoring any points the whole season, or like he's cut from the team or whatever, that's very bad. We're also not very good at predicting it.
True.
And so if you can't predict it, it's like, we know it's a thing, but it doesn't mean we have to worry so much about it in our drafts. Someone would say, yeah, but it could be Dearness. It could be somebody else that we just don't know is the backup to Travis Etienne.
So Dearness thing again.
Yeah, that is the pushback on Travis Etienne. But I would say, to exactly what your point is spot on, and something I'm coming up again, this like catchphrases. We have dead roster spots. We also have walking dead roster spots.
Yes,
which would be, you are not technically, a stone cold 0 every week. You're running some routes, but you're completely useless for best ball. You might as well be selling insurance, right? Like Tyler Boyd doesn't matter to me. He's never going to be impactful. There is no path to him becoming like a big hit. And so I'm willing, when I'm drafting hundreds of teams or whatever, like we do here in the best ball, sphere, I would rather take the swing than bunt. Yep. Tyler Boyd is like a bunt because I'm scared to lose with that pick. And it's like, but you kind of already lost the moment you click that button. At least Tank Bigsby could be a win. He's also very much probably a 0. Welcome to the 18th.
Yeah. Well,
welcome to the 18th round. Like, they're all probably 0s. That's why they go in the fucking 18th round. But I don't want to sign up for the 0 like Tyler Boyd is.
Yes.
If I'm if I'm gonna dive in, I don't want it to know going in it's a 0. I want to at least have the potential path to being something really, really big.
Yeah, and it's his second year. But to your point, the other thing that I think of when I'm looking at this is, there's a couple wide receivers. This isn't 100% thing. I saw Devontae Walker brought up in chat. Brendan Rice right now, like I'll take some swings on Brendan Rice. But for the most part, a lot of the wide receivers that are in that range, what builds do they actually fit?
Right.
Like, what do they do for this type of construction? And I implore people to go back and listen to you and Corain's show from the last few days where you're talking about the market. I actually brought this point up before I even listened to your show. So sort of a pat on the back for me, but we talk about this being a market, a marketplace game, right? Like where the market dictates. But I think a lot of people take that point for player takes, where the market dictates how you should be constructing, right? And I think you guys kind of did a good point on touching on that during that
was
show.
basically the whole show. That was basically the whole show.
Right. Because we love zero RB, right? But there is a movement that could happen where we decide in 2-3 years, because of the way that the market is, zero RB might not be as viable as it is today, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Right. So the market is actually roster construction based. And I instead of going over all that again, go back and listen to the Legendary Sickos episode, because it really touches on that point more so than I did on yesterday's show. And I think that is a point that just goes over a lot of people's heads and needs to be addressed a little bit more throughout the year.
And we will, of course, address all of those things. It is still only not even mid-May. We are going to have tons and tons of shows here and tons of content here. But I do want to, without further ado, go ahead and hop into this draft. If you're hanging out with us, you want to join the puppy. I like to do, everybody's doing the BBM drafts. Shout out to us selfish streamers, by the way, that the selfish streamers are trying to get their 150 BBMs in, and they don't care so much about getting 150 puppies. So they're streaming all of those because it's like, if I'm going to have to do the stream, let's do the BBM with it. We get the 102, which is beautiful.
Love
absolutely
it.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But we are a place of the people. You guys, I don't know if any of you got in here. Stat filled so fast, but we're gonna try to do puppies and whatever, all these other tournaments that, like, I'm contemplating doing one of the $2 drafters drafts on Wednesday, because I understand that not everybody's ripping a bunch of BBMs, and you still want to be able to draft with us. We'll try to accommodate absolutely everybody. You mentioned the show with Corain. I don't want to reiterate all of that, but I thought there was a lot of good stuff that came from there. First I posted a clip that I thought was really, really good. It was both really good, actionable analysis, and great fodder for Twitter, where Corain compared Achane to George Kittle.
Yes.
which was really funny, because I got to make fun of all of the player comp world. Where if you are a white slot receiver, you are Wes Welker, right? And if you are, and if you are a big fast athlete or whatever, you are the other big fast athlete. But there's so much. We are on the clock here. Are you CD 102? I know you're not Tyreek.
I'm not CD. I'm usually Chase, but I think we've drafted Chase teams. Do we want to
both
mix
of the
it up
last
on this
two,
puppy?
right? I think both of the last two we drafted were Chase. Let's do a CD team, because I would love to see what we could do with Dallas, because I think Dallas is actually really, really. Let's do CD, because I think we should talk about that, actually.
I would have pushed back if it was a BBM, but I will do it on a puppy.
Yeah, because you're being very intentional about your exposure to BBM, and puppy's a little more of a experimental ground, which another thing I think is important to touch on, right? Like I'll experiment in the $2 on drafters and the puppy, and the $3 on DraftKings. Like I'll play around a little bit to figure out what I like, right? If I'm going to spend thousands of dollars this summer, let's figure out where my $25 and my $500 and my $1,000 bullets are going to go by experimenting in the $3 and the $5 and the $2 tournaments. But I'm really interested, not necessarily at this exact moment, to discuss the Cowboys thing, But CD teams, I mean, I love CD. He's my 101. Of course, if you subscribe to Spike Week and you use the Almanac, which if you don't, there's a link in the description. That's where you can get our rankings. CD is the 101. But the Cowboys are like kind of fascinating, right? Like this offense, everyone assumes is elite. And I think that's a fair assumption because they were last year and they basically have the same situation, close enough. But they didn't add anybody. they added Zeke and Ryan Flournoy to this offense. They lost Michael Gallup and Tony Pollard and some offensive linemen. Yeah, ask Jerry. We're all in. Ryan Flournoy and Zeke, baby. This is all in for a Super Bowl. But like, Dak will fall. Jake Ferguson's at a pretty reasonable price point. Brandon Cooks is free. The Jalen Tolbert and Ryan Flournoy are free. Zeke and Rico Dowdle are free relative to the landscape. So like, if you want Dallas stacks, man, you can get them, and I keep getting them. But I've been like lucky enough to get a bunch of top 3 picks, and I've had a bunch of CD on all the sites, so that's probably driving it a little bit. You also find when you get CD, Dak will fall. Like Dak will fall because nobody wants to draft Dak without CeeDee Lamb. So like, it gives you this kind of funny backstop of an elite-ish quarterback that you have in your back pocket. And if you don't get him, so be it. But you also might have that like falling round and a half value of Dak Prescott solely because you have CD, not because of anything else.
Yeah, I think that the key takeaway for me with the Cowboys, though, is something not necessarily that you turned me on to, but you helped me focus on a little bit, is Jake Ferguson. I think Ferguson is the best Cowboy to draft out of every single Cowboy.
Same.
Where he's going, the tight end landscape, everything around it, just making sure that I'm remembering where Jake Ferguson is in drafts, right? And making sure I'm intentional about taking him as either my first or second tight end at a high clip right now is going to be something that I'm doing a bit more of, especially the next few weeks. For sure. That's the way I'm playing Dallas. The Dak stuff, let's make our 2 picks here in a second.
What do you like here? Let's start with Jay Connolly. It sounds like a best ball, and let us know that the overflow is all the sickos. So I think we can talk a little bit more about this. I as you know, I would not take one of these running backs, but
Right.
I'm pretty open.
Moore and Waddle are my usual go-tos here.
Yeah, I'm down for DJ Moore.
And I probably should have.
I also like, we'll say this, I will say this, and we will say this about 1 million times over the course of the next 3 months, but opting for players, like when at a decision point, opting for wide receivers or tight ends who set you up for stacks later that allow you flexibility is always just a nice little feather in your cap when you're drafting. It's not the end of the world. You know, Stephon Diggs is fine, but like, these guys, you know me, I'm Neighbors here, but I like Waddle. I mean, I like Neighbors Waddle.
Can we do Laporta just based on the fact
I don't have any Laporta yet. Let's
don't have any.
Let's get another Cowboys Lions Week 17 game, and let's this time let's benefit from that chaos of the game instead of tilting our faces off on
Saturday night
on Christmas Eve.
The worst, just the absolute stone cold worst. That was.
I will go to my grave tilting my face off that I had the best non-CD Lamb team in the Best Ball Mania final. Like, and they changed the payout structure the year after that, finishing 12th. I think it was 15 grand last year. Honestly, I don't remember. $12 or $15,000 last year was the 12th place finish that I got in Best Ball Mania, which is great. I'm not complaining. You want to know what that is this year? You want to know how much? Yeah. Feels like it. That's what the difference feels like. $125K.
Oh my God.
10x what I got last year is that finish.
I mean, I'm glad they fixed it, but when you start looking at it from that perspective, it hurts so much.
And when you were ranting, you were this idiot in the best ball space being like, these payout structures are fucked. This contest is terrible. Like, they need to fix this. And you were the one ranting about it. And then they do fix it. And and you got screwed from it, it feels even worse.
And now you're on the outside of the window with your hand up to it, just crying with your face against the glass, watching the party the next year where everyone's getting paid out and you should have been part of it.
This is a super niche joke. I don't know if anyone watched Entourage here, or if you watched Entourage growing up. I'm in the midst of an Entourage rewatch. Andrew Klein. Ari brings Andrew Klein from the valley to bring him to the big, and he gets divorced. He cheats on his wife, and he's in jail, and he's trying to recruit Andrew Sorkin, one of the biggest writers in all of Hollywood or whatever, and he's in jail. And Sorkin decides to sign with him. And what you just said was like Ari and Andrew Klein look at each other, and he's in jail, so he's behind the glass or whatever, and he just puts his hand up. And that's all I could envision was like me being like, I'm in jail right now. This sucks, but high five, guys. We got better payout structures.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I wasn't like totally opposed to. I didn't love it, but I wasn't totally opposed to the regular season prizes. But the way they did it was not ideal.
Yeah, the participation trophy, $250 or whatever. It was really what hurt. It was a lot of money that got taken out of everybody else's.
But they listened, right? They fixed it, and
they're the best. A huge shout out to them. It is really, really admirable to try something and experiment. And I'm ultimately like, it cost me money, but I'm not upset that they tried something different. I think that was also admirable. But then to go back and be like, no, we don't want to. That was an experiment that failed.
Yeah.
And to go back and we're going to do the right thing by everybody in the whole space. They're crushing it. Every underdog contest right now is killer. They're doing an awesome job.
So many companies would dig in heels there just because they want to be right. And, just like a best ball take. People want to be so right.
Exactly. I was drafting Trey Lance for like 3 years, buddy. Like, I know about digging your heels in very, very well.
We can draft him on this Cowboy stack that we're building.
That's true.
If you really
uniqueness.
We could be the one team with Trey Lance.
What if Trey Lance is the guy you need in 17?
We could start that campaign again for you.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, gross. So Laporta, speaking of yesterday's show, what I like about Laporta, although I haven't been drafting him as much, is he gives us that flexibility for that one tight end team if we wanted to.
And just some Lions flexibility. And I think everybody that we know, our own ranks here at Spike Week, think Laporta's a little overpriced relative to the other elite tight ends. I think that's a totally fair take. I mean, I have it, and other people I respect have it. But that it has me thinking about that. Like, do I want to go in with zero Sam? Like, he might be the best tight end in the NFL. Do I want to have zero Sam Laporta just because I think he's like 8 picks overpriced? So I'm kind of glad we took him.
Same. So we're on the clock here. Wide receiver seems to be drying up.
Yeah, we need to get it for sure. At least one. I would probably say 2. Keenan is my guy, but I like Kirk.
Yeah, I like Keenan here, but I have been trying to also, let's take Keenan. I've also been trying to get more Kirk, but
me too.
I like this little pocket anyways. Well, my problem with Kirk is I like some of the guys after him.
Yeah.
I like grabbing Worthy, McLaurin. I even like Jaden Reed, to be honest.
Same.
So those are guys I'm grabbing, but do we want to grab Kirk here?
Is it Kirk or McLaurin for you? Because I am Kirk over McLaurin, but it's kind of a tier here. Keenan, Kirk, McLaurin. I like all these guys.
I'm probably slightly more McLaurin, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't let that rear its head in every single draft because it's not like a hard stand for me.
They're both great.
And that is the exact example of where you can just start blind firing the same guy over and over and over again, right? In that range where you're like, well, I like McLaurin over Kirk by a little bit. You just keep pressing the button. All of a sudden you're 22% exposed to McLaurin and you're at like 4% on Kirk. And you're like, shit, I didn't want it to be this different.
And it should be 15-12 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy for that to happen. That is, again, we'll talk about this a lot. particularly more later in the summer when some of these drafts we will be drafting like, oh, I only have 4%, we'll use the draft hacker to guide some of our decisions. But it's the single biggest thing I'm using in all of my drafts this year is I believe we have some of the, again, to your point about the show that Karani and I did with the market. I think that the biggest edges this year are just like market-based takes, which is there are individual players from within those market constructs that I'm definitely taking more than others, but I don't want to, I keep using this, right? I don't want to flip over the cards week 1, Thursday Night Football, and I have 22% Terry McLaurin and 4% Christian Kirk when I have Terry McLaurin ranked 1 spot ahead of Christian Kirk in the rankings. And so it's like, yes, you have him ahead. You like him more. You like Keenan Allen more. But that much, like, did you want that to be a stand? Did you want that to be a pillar of your season? Like, your season is now decided by this thing. And I'm so cognizant of those little things. Because I'm so focused on my edges within the market that I don't like the Laporta thing. I haven't drafted Laporta yet. And you brought it up and I was like, yeah, let's do that, because I don't think my edge is in fading Sam Laporta, right? Like that's not necessarily my edge, even though I think he's a little overpriced. My edge is in some of these other things. So I want to make sure I'm handling that appropriately.
Yeah. And to go to the Laporta thing, it's just one of those things where like we all agree that the price tag is a little too high. But we talked about this last year where, okay, we've acknowledged that the price tag is too high, but do we still want Sam Laporta? We're going to just have to pay the price on some guys that we don't like paying the price on. And hard standing against something like that is not the way, unless you definitely don't want the guy, right? Like you shouldn't be doing it because of the price when the price is the price. I know that sounds stupid.
You like the player,
right?
And the price is the price. That handles your exact exposure percentage, but it shouldn't lead you to that big of a hard stand. And that's a hard thing to balance, is like, I don't love the price, but I have no real negative sentiment around the player. And it's like, okay, so the question then becomes, how much do you dive into that price? Not, I have him ranked 6 picks after where he goes in ADP. Like that's such a little small thing that I just don't want to fall into those potholes for me personally. Like you said, when there's a player that I genuinely like, so Rachaad White just goes off the board. I don't have any interest. 0, none. So like when I leave these drafts with 0 Rachaad White, I'm totally comfortable with that. And Sam Laporta is the total opposite, where I'm like, no. I don't really have a strong reason other than he's going 6 picks too high to having 0, which means you shouldn't have 0.
Right. Yeah. I look at a bunch of players that are in green around this range and have that sentiment.
Yep.
Right. We are back on the clock. We're seeing like Keon Coleman, Brian Thomas, Chris Godwin. We could start a Jacksonville thing here.
Godwin is my favorite, but Brian Thomas fits this team very, very well. I'm also happy with Ingram on the Jags side of things. So whatever you're
let's start with Brian Thomas. Let's just build this Jags thing out. Let's push the tight end spot since we already have Laporta.
Yeah,
I'm fine with doing that. So this is the 7th round is where I start to actually look at some of the green players here and there.
Same.
So
it's juicy, man. Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Ramondre, Zamir. This is when it starts to get really appealing, and you are loaded up at the other 3 positions, or at least 2, as we are 2 of the other 3 positions.
Right. We already have a tight end with Laporta. We have CD, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, and Brian Thomas.
We got Caleb and Trevor Lawrence set up really, really nice. Godwin goes. So that makes the running backs and Ingram more appealing.
Right. And also is a perfect Rashee Rice team.
Every team is a perfect Rashee Rice team until he's in prison for the next 20 years.
So where would you like to go here?
What do you think? I'm down for Ramondre or Zamir.
I really like the Ramondre this year.
Me too.
I think he is I'm glad he's undervalued. I think he's a little undervalued relative to this field. Like I think he should
He's a
probably be
better football
around higher.
player. He's a better football player than this. His situation is worse than David Montgomery. I don't know if his situation is worse than Zamir, but sometimes there are talent-based gaps in the market, and that's where I do like to pounce, because if the market is wrong about the situation, so it reminds me of, not the same thing because running back and wide receiver are different, but it reminds me of the Texans last year. The Patriots remind me very much of the Texans last year. Now they are not going to be like that's not my point, but my point is when everybody there was never a take that like Nico Collins sucks at football. That was never the take, right? No one ever said that. No one ever said Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary weren't good at football. No one ever said Dalton Schultz wasn't good. No one really hated Tank. It was just like, oh man, the Texans really CJ Stroud and these guys, that doesn't sound good. That's what the Patriots feel like to me. And so we have a bunch of guys who I think are appealing real life good football players. And when you get them at reduced prices because the market is worried about their offensive situation, the gains can be so, like, if I told you Ramondre was a top 12 running back this year, would you be surprised?
No, I'm not going to be shocked at all if he's a top 12 running back.
So
I think his overall
round
situation, I just think the overall situation for Stevenson is better than people are giving credit for. We're doing the Antonio Gibson thing again. You know what I mean? Like, he's obviously going to get some run.
But that's the royal we, by the way. I'm trying to make sure that we put that out there because I am on the Ramondre bus of this whole equation.
Same. So, like, yeah, Gibson might get some run, but Ramondre is going to have all the high value touches, I would say, in the red zone easily.
Dude, I was a Gibson stan. Ramondre is a significantly better football player than Antonio Gibson is.
Yeah. And we don't have, I mean, say what we want about Zeke. He's not allowed to be named on the Sunday show anymore, but say what you want about him. He was going to take some of that work last year. We're getting a new philosophy this year, new offensive coordinator. We got a rookie quarterback coming in to New England, which is always, you don't get the CJ Strouds, to your point, every year with that position. So it's going to be up and down, I think. But I think he's my favorite Patriot to draft at the moment.
Hunter Henry is close. Hard. Well, maybe I just like the Patriots too much, which is, what's put me in the grave for 2 years in a row. But Hunter Henry, if I had to pick a later, not necessarily late, but later round tight end that I feel the most comfortable with, I think it's Hunter Henry.
Yep.
And if I had to pick a late round wide receiver that is the most appealing to me, it's probably Javon Baker from the Patriots. If somebody wanted to say Jalen Polk, that's fine, but Baker goes a little later, and I like him. I actually like him more as a prospect. So the Patriots have all these things going for them, and the big thing about the Patriots to me, all the skill guys. I'm actually not drafting Drake May a lot, not intentionally. It's just it hasn't worked out that way for me. But the floor of QB play is so important. And when you have Drake May, who provides a ceiling, but a low floor if he's not very good as a rookie. But if he's not very good as a rookie, you have Jacoby Brissett behind him, which provides a floor of quarterback play for all these skill guys, which is really, really important. And that's probably why I'm investing so much in the Patriots, is because worst case scenario is Jacoby Brissett. Like, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. I don't have the Zach Wilson, Jets situation. I don't have, none of that is in my range of outcomes. It is either Drake May is good enough to make them good, or Jacoby Brissett is the fallback option. And I'm comfortable with that scenario.
Yeah. Or, there's still a likelihood that Brissett starts the season and then Drake May takes over.
I think he does. I think he does.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Jacoby Brissett starts. Yeah.
I actually want to do a quarterback list that we go through and talk about each team and just like job security almost for the QBs and just rank them, because I think that will help people sort of see what's going on with each team, because there's some teams that just aren't getting talked about enough with the quarterback. And
son of a bitch. Sorry.
Wanted Dak.
I still would have floated Dak. I know we have Lawrence and Caleb set up. Can you look at, though, really quickly before we pick the Caleb and Lawrence like ADPs and just think about, ideally we would have, just click on quarterback.
Oh, I thought they were going to be close. They might already be gone.
Lawrence is 118.
Yeah.
Caleb's gone?
Yeah, Caleb's gone.
Shit. Okay. Moss, or Pollard. Moss or Pollard. That's fine. Either way is fine.
Pollard. This is where we're going because you.
Well, the perk of drafting the way we draft is all the running backs are at the top of the queue.
We're fine anyways.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right.
So the question is,
Moss
is my favorite pick here, and then we push, but we're pushing Lawrence, which I'm comfortable with. It's just
I think we can push Lawrence.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, if someone wants to take Lawrence, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Goff's not gone, right?
Goff should not be gone.
Yeah. Okay. So we got I think if you're in this draft with us, earmuffs for 2 seconds. I think what would be the ideal here is we come back around and we get Goff and Lawrence at this next turn and just done at quarterback. We'll figure out tight end later. We're obviously
Caleb went in the 7th.
What the fuck, man? Who is that? R. Cook?
Yes.
Can I see that? Well, he also took Nick Chubb in the 8th.
He's gonna
backdoor. The rest of it was fine, but shit got wild in the 7th. Everything else looks.
Well, you didn't have any of the stacking partners either for Chicago there.
Yeah, the shit got crazy in the 7th round for our Cook.
Yeah, just went off script a little bit there. So I think the only two people we have to worry about in this particular draft doing any of the quarterback things are at the back end here.
Well, yeah, Versailles is a wild card. He's one of our resident sickos in the Discord, and we got to keep him in the back of our minds at all times.
Absolutely. I actually got mad in a draft today. Dude, I don't get mad in drafts anymore.
I was gonna say I haven't gotten mad in 2 years probably. It's just like you just get so used to it. Like you just always have the backup to the backup to the backup plan that like I don't ever even really worry about it. It's like, did this go perfectly? No, but Bo Nix, Marvin Mims stack, come on down. It's just like it is what it is. I just know what the next plan is. So I'm curious what made you mad.
Here's the first thing. Wasn't an NFL draft. Was an NBA draft.
Well, that's your first problem.
Yeah, I was doing
NBA daily. Okay.
Yeah, so I was doing a daily, and all I wanted to do. This is earlier in the day, by the way. I actually got saved on this. So earlier in the day,
because Donovan Mitchell is not playing.
This was the whole key part of this. I wanted to get.
What's the score, by the way? Because I have not an insignificant amount of money on the Boston Celtics tonight.
I wanted to get a Tatum Donovan Mitchell team. So I was just waiting for somebody at the 4 or 5 turn to do like a Chet Holmgren, Kyrie Irving team. And I finally get it.
This is so niche. I love this.
So niche. And I finally get it. And the guy in the 101 who took Doncic just went rogue and took all like shit players in the draft got thrown out afterwards because of it. Like who
would throw away a Luka team for no reason?
A Luka team, yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, come on. And then I was like, oh yes, he's out. So I got saved on
that sounds like if I accidentally autoed an early running back. Like I'm gonna Underdog, don't listen. Rudman, I love you. Don't listen to this. But if I, accidentally auto CMC, my second round pick is fucking Jameis Winston. So like, be ready because we're getting that shit thrown out.
All right. So Trevor Lawrence is obviously our pick here.
Yep.
Glad we pushed that.
Told you, Lawrence Goff. That was the plan. He doesn't have any Lions highlight reel.
I think he took Williamson.
Oh.
Jameson Williams. I mean, not Williamson.
Yeah. Zion. He has Zion Williamson. I'll take. Let that boy play tight end. All right, perfect.
Yeah, we get Goff. So we got our Jacksonville Detroit team, which is good. Teams I want more of right now. So liking this. Yeah, so that was the only time I actually got mad in the draft, and then I was like, yes, I actually got saved by it. And I'm still going to be poor at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter.
If the Celtics win by 25, I laddered so I bet the Celtics minus 11.5, and I laddered every single half point up to 24 because that's as far as DraftKings will go.
Wow.
So we need the Celtics to win by 25. They're up 11.
Let's do it. I almost paid for all my best ball entries the other day. Real quick, if we want to talk about gambling, I did a 6-team round robin. 5 of them were.
You're a round robin guy, huh? I think I've seen you
only
post
on
round
baseball.
robins before. Oh, okay.
Well, usually only on baseball. And I did 5 teams to win by 2, and then my 6 was just the Celtics to win straight up. And
wait, game 2?
No, game 3. Game 3.
Okay, Celtics won. So
Celtics won. I hit every single one except for, I believe it was Pittsburgh. They won by 1 in extra innings, and I was like, I still made some good money, but if they had won by 2, we were.
It's the nice round robin perk is it doesn't have to be perfect, but some of us aren't cowards, and we just, if you're gonna go full degenerate, just go full.
Well, we fire higher on the parlay for it too, right?
Yeah.
That's the play.
Yes.
So
that's the great thing about all these, these sports books are bleeding money and trying to get anybody in the door. So you get all these free bets and these, boosts. Like, dude, every day you get a boost. Not every day. Certainly during the college season, you get a boost of, they call it like a stepped up parlay on the sports books. So, right, you get a 10% boost for a 3-team parlay or whatever. And it goes all the way up to 100% boost on a 10-team parlay. If you don't think I have a 10 leg parlay every day from, October to March, you would be totally mistaken. And they never hit. But I had one this year that they cap you out at like $10 or whatever.
Right.
$10 to win like 30 grand. The last thing I need, I'm certain this is still holding me back on drafting Ladd McConkey. He was like 6 yards from going over, and all other 9 legs hit of this stepped up stupid parlay. And then, Georgia's up by 30 or whatever. And so he didn't play the fourth quarter, but I was just like, and he had a touchdown. Like, he had a good fantasy day. He had like 78 yards and a touchdown or whatever. But I'm like, I needed like 85 yards. I'm just making up the number. I don't remember what it is. But so I'm Ladd McConkey in the 6th round. You fuckers can have him. I'm done. He doesn't have that dog in him. Is what I'm trying to say.
We all have that memory of that last leg. This will take 2 seconds, but I had 9 out of 10 a couple years back. Patriots, Packers, Sunday Night Football, bet the over. Patriots get stuffed on the 1-yard line on 4th and 1, flips the entire field game and screws the over. And I just wanted to vomit. It was like,
dude, the stuffed on the 1 when you have any over is the most miserable experience ever, because
of all time,
it's over from there on because
you're screwed. You're done.
Especially if they get a first down, it's over.
I like Marshawn Lloyd here.
Yes. In on Marshawn Lloyd.
We don't have to beat a dead
I'm
horse
in on this
Marshawn
running
Lloyd.
back range. I know we'll have to double back to wide receiver, but Ty Chandler I love, Kendra I love, Ray Davis I love in this range. Oh my God. Okay, I just got to say, Samuel says one of my last legs was Todd Gurley over when he took a knee. You remember that? I'm sure you remember that game when Todd Gurley could have scored a touchdown and he took a knee. Wow. That's tough. That's tough.
All right. Do we want to hit one more RB here?
Yeah. So
Chandler or Ray Davis?
We don't have any Vikings, Saints, or Bills, right?
Correct.
So do you have a preference between these 3 guys? These are a big tier for me, though. These 3.
It's Chandler or Davis for me.
Let's do Ray.
All right, let's do Ray Davis. I like Kendra, and I am drafting him, but I'm back on Ty for multiple reasons. You've laid most of them out throughout the last couple of weeks where, he's got some contingent value, of course, but I think he's just straight up going to play.
We drafted A.J. Dillon in the 6th round next to Aaron Jones on the Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers. And we're taking Ty Chandler in the fucking 13th round.
13th round, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is Jordan Love. I don't believe that. I'm not a big J.J. McCarthy fan. But also, the Vikings ecosystem is better then the Packers won. And you just don't get a lot of situations where we know the player's probably pretty good, and he's certainly the contingent value bet, and he might be just like a 50-50 split or 60-40 split in the 13th round. Like, it's crazy, man. But Ray Davis is that, right? Marshawn Lloyd is that. Kendre is also maybe that. So I'm not trying to say you have to draft Ty Chandler, but I want to get all of these guys.
Yeah. Well,
I want all of them.
The Ray Davis thing is Ray Davis is that, and Buffalo hates James Cook. So
100%. Did you watch James Cook drop that corner route in like week 16 or whatever it was and he just went back to the side and was like, buddy, go sit down. Ty Johnson's going to take over from here.
We're going to let Ty Johnson and Latavius Murray.
He wasn't even on the team to start the year. We're so fucking fed up with you dropping these passes. It's Leonard Fournette and Ty Johnson time.
We are going to find the oldest people in the league to replace you constantly, including, isn't Ray? No, Ray Davis isn't. How old is Ray Davis?
Ray Davis is probably older than James Cook.
Right.
Actually.
He's old as shit too, right? They're just like, we're just going to find the oldest people possible to continuously replace you.
Ray Davis is my age, I think. Also, when you type in James Cook, it pulls up the British explorer and cartographer from 1768. So that's a little.
God, I'm sure I'll cover him on the other show at
he
some
has,
point.
Yeah. He's in a ghost story episode somewhere. But it's terrifying that James Cook hasn't trumped him, right? Like if you're not relevant enough to trump a cartographer from 1776, and we're drafting you in the 6th round, that feels ominous. But James Cook is turned 24. Yeah, 24, turns 25 this year. It's the same. He's the same age as Ray Davis, basically.
Oh man,
is this Updog? Is this for real?
This feels like an Updog fact, not a real
fact. This is an Updog bit. This is an Updog bit. I'm bullish because these 1700s James Cook discovered
Ray Davis. Yes.
Oh man, that's great. That is good.
All right. So before we get our next 2 picks in, we're at a 2-5-5-1 build at the moment, but a very solid 5 wide receivers, I must say.
And J Mike has a good question we can talk about after we make these picks about ambiguous backfields, and it's a really good question.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What are you thinking here?
It's gross, but I'm not opposed to grabbing an RB and pulling a wide receiver that I like up a little bit.
Is there a running back you like here? Because I actually like some wide receivers in this range.
Well, I like Bucky Irving here.
Okay, I'm down for Bucky. He's not my he's not one of my kind of guys, but I'm always interested in taking some of my non-guys in drafts with other people.
Yeah, and I'm cool with pulling Javon Baker up here.
Okay, that was gonna be my float, Corley or Baker.
Yeah, I think Baker's the way to go with it.
Me too. We have Ramondre.
I want to be an Malachi Corley. I'm having trouble getting there with the team.
Well, I posted this on Twitter. He's staying with Rodgers in his guest house to set himself up for a future like Senate run or a place on the cabinet when Aaron Rodgers is in the Oval later. Yeah. But we don't get fantasy points for Malachi Corley being a member of the cabinet.
You don't get fantasy points for surviving a ayahuasca trip with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
On May 13th.
I appreciate his dedication to this bit, and we're very dedicated to bits around here, but it doesn't get us fantasy points.
Right.
He's going to be the director of the interior in 2036 or something. Malachi Corley is. So bet on that if that market becomes available. But I'm a little bullish or a little bearish on the fantasy prospects if he's like really like this dude's living with Aaron Rodgers for 6 months. Like that's terrifying to me. That's terrifying.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's Aaron Rodgers, I think we're gonna have Department of Witchcraft, and there's no better
Yeah.
name than Malachi Corley to be the
If you
leading
thought Hogwarts
director.
was fake, wait till Aaron Rodgers is president.
And we have leading director of the Department of Witchcraft, Malachi Corley. There's just not a better
Which
name for it.
which house is Malachi Corley going to be in charge of, or is he Dumbledore, or
No,
is he like Snape
well,
or
they all have to come through a house at some point.
right?
So Malachi Corley is a Slytherin name.
For sure.
So he's definitely a Slytherin. He's wearing a green jersey. I mean, it all just checks out, right?
The thing about Rogers is he has a very Hufflepuff name, but he doesn't live the Hufflepuff brand.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like he lives a Slytherin life for sure, but like he doesn't. His name and persona and everything from historically, he went to Cal. He's from like a good family. Like he's a Hufflepuff guy, but he's tried to become Slytherin in his career.
We're gonna have to pull the sorting hat out at some point and just start sorting some of these draft picks. And if they are indeed a Hufflepuff, undraftable.
Undraftable, 100% undraftable.
Yeah, you can't.
Dude, Keon Coleman is fucking Hufflepuff. Okay.
Oh no.
Yes, dude, he's great. His interviews are awesome, but that is the most Hufflepuff shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I go to Macy's and I buy my coats, and I ran out on the field and I, was running around because this is the coolest thing ever. I got drafted into the NFL. Like it's very admirable. It's fun. I'm enjoying those. But if we had to pick a house, that shit is Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
That's not any of the other ones.
And you definitely want Gryffindors and Slytherins, and you want to mix in some Ravenclaw for 100% your construction, but you can go, zero Hufflepuff. There's zero RB. We want zero Hufflepuff is what we're doing going forward in these best ball drafts.
I almost just, so I'm on a backup computer right now because my other one is in the shop. This one almost just got ruined on this from the zero Hufflepuff. That got me good.
We are coming back on the clock here in a second.
All right, 2661. What have you been doing though? Being serious for a second, what have you been doing at tight end back here?
Nothing. I'm more than fine with being Laporta here.
I know you are. Can I float an Eli Mitchell?
Yes.
As our last running back?
Yes, I need to start taking him more. So.
I'm about to up the exposure.
That's fair. I think I need to make sure that I'm getting my Eli Mitchell and not just bypassing him, especially, I mean, he's free, right? Yep. He's free. Why are we not just taking him?
I'm not saying I know who the backup in San Francisco is. I don't. But we have decided as a best ball market that Eli Mitchell is not the backup, and he is still probably the best bet to be that, despite Garendo, despite Cody Schrader as a UDFA. And so the handcuff to CMC at pick 200, I just want to get my shares of that for sure. You know me, Malik Washington.
That's where I was going to ask you if I can interest you in Malik Washington.
Can you interest me in Malik Washington? Yes. Could have said that in the 12th round, and I would have said yes.
Can I interest you in Gryffindor, Malik Washington?
Yeah, Malik Washington is a Gryffindor stone lock.
All right, we need Hacker to, instead of showing the draft slot here, we're going to put the house on here instead of 1610, 1611. We don't need that. We know how this works. I need Harry Potter houses for every single player.
I'm in on this bit, by the way. I'm very in. My wife will love it too. She might actually watch a show for the first time in 5 years of Spike Week.
She can come on and help us do the sorting.
She will, because she knows Harry Potter better than anybody. She watches them relentlessly, dude. She's probably seen every Harry Potter 50 times.
Let us know.
That sounds like an exaggeration, but when it's on, it's on our TVs.
Did she play the game?
Oh yeah,
the game.
First time I got a PS5. You know when it wasn't Madden. It was. You want to know what he bought? Fucking Harry
It was great. It was fun. Good game.
It is a sick game, by the way. But
Let us know in the Discord if you want us to do a special house sorting show for football players.
if you would like us to live stream our Harry Potter game, whatever, you guys tell us.
You know what you would be upset about?
This is we are just so off the rails, but Eli Mitchell certified Dementor got me pretty good too.
Our Harry Potter sorting stream would be our highest viewed stream, and it would
100%.
drive us. We would love it, and then we would both be so fucking mad about it.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
100%.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do it now.
Oh god.
All right, let's go through our team before our last pick. We have a 2-7-7-1 build right now.
Yeah.
With Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis, Bucky Irving, Elijah Mitchell, CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Javon Baker, Malik Washington, and Sam Laporta. I actually like this team quite a bit.
Me too. I want to hit this J-Mike question though, because we went off the rails, of course, as we tend to do. Sorry, J-Mike, I'm scrolling back. How do you weigh ambiguous backfields versus uncertain number twos when drafting in May? So you have ambiguous backfields where we don't even know who the one is, who the two is, maybe sometimes who the three is, and then we have like we may not know who the backup is to the Eli Mitchell point, right? Like if I were placing my chips, I would still say Eli Mitchell, but it could be Garendo, it could be Cody Schrader, it could be Jordan Mason, whatever. How do you think about those?
Well, I think that the first you have to define it first to the original point. So the Bengals situation, right? Ambiguous, but
right. Is it a 1v1 ambiguous situation, or is it a last year? The Dolphins were a 1v1v1. Jeff Wilson, Mostert, Etienne, we didn't know. So defining it, to your point, is really important.
Yeah, because once you define it, if it is the two, especially in Cincinnati, we actually don't know, right? But what I would say is where we as a market, as just outside analysts, are pretty confident that it is some form of the two guys with Zach Moss and Chase Brown. Chase Brown. God, why am I blanking on names right now? I'm doing Harry Potter stuff.
Yep.
So I think that I'm just firing both guys, right? When it gets hard is that Dolphin situation or this San Francisco situation this year.
Do you have something you wanted to do here?
No. I don't.
So I'm still a second tight end proponent. I understand that
who would you like to get?
You're not as much.
Tucker Kraft.
I do like Tucker Kraft actually.
Tucker
we
Kraft.
We took Marshawn Lloyd.
Lloyd, yeah.
He goes with Lloyd. And I know that some people will disagree. I think Kraft is like a reasonable bet to just be the guy over Musgrave. Absolute worst case scenario, he's a contingent tight end bet, which is like whatever. All these guys suck in the 18th round at tight end, but I think he's a reasonable bet to be the man at tight end. He was better to me than Luke Musgrave was over the course of last season. I kind of liked him better as a prospect, and so if I'm making the Green Bay bet, I really do prefer to play it through Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, so let's hit our team and let's finish this discussion we're going through. Lawrence and Goff at quarterback, Ramondre, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis, Bucky Irving, Eli Mitchell, CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, Javon Baker, Malik Washington, Sam Laporta, and Tucker Kraft. We got some Green Bay stuff going on. We got some Jacksonville stacks with our quarterback. We got a Detroit stack with Goff and Sam Laporta. We got two Chicago Bears with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and then New England with Baker and Ramondre. Actually set this team up really well overall, in my opinion. So do love that.
I love this for how we planned ahead to the stacks was really, really good. how we set up secondary stacks along the way. Those are like huge pillars of how I draft. Way more like, of course, I have my player takes. We talk about a ton of those. I loved the Zach Moss pick. I loved the Ramondre pick. I loved, of course, CD. But the little things along the way where you're like, I like both of these guys, but I have Ramondre. Let's take Javon Baker. I have Marshawn Lloyd. We need a second tight end. Let's take Tucker Kraft. I think that those are like, it seems small in the moment when you make the pick. It seems like, whatever, that's no big deal. But let me tell you, when it plays out in your favor in the season, particularly in the playoffs, it's not small. It's not small at all. And so I love those little things that we did in this draft. And of course, just the general structure. I love this team. This is a good team.
Yeah, it was a good team. So the two teams I want to talk about in relation to this running back question that I would like to point out that I think we need to take a step back from, and just not saying not to draft them. We just drafted one. I think we need to look at the Green Bay situation, and I think we need to look at the Chargers situation overall, right? So Green Bay, obviously Jacobs is going to be the guy that gets the majority of the work. We do know that they will probably want to mix Marshawn Lloyd in. My concern, as much as he was terrible and we didn't like him last year, we are not the coaching staff. And if they're going to bring AJ Dillon back, I don't think they're bringing him back to cut him right away. I don't think they're bringing him back not to play him some. Now, Marshawn Lloyd could come in and just steal that situation, right? So I want to be taking Lloyd. I don't want to get carried away with it at the moment. I want to take him while he's cheap. I think the Chargers situation is a situation that we are about to go overboard on Kamani Vidal. So I'm grabbing him now. And you have a coaching staff in place with the Chargers who brought in two backs that know their system. And what are they going to do in the beginning of the year? Working with a new quarterback, making sure the offense runs the way they want it to, put players on the field that they absolutely trust. I understand J.K. Dobbins was hurt. I understand Gus Edwards is Gus Edwards, but the coaching staff is going to trust these guys because they know the offense that's about to get implemented. Now, we're drafting Vidal to come on late, and that might happen.
Yeah.
But I think you want to be careful with your exposure to Vidal, because I think his cost is going to continue to rise.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think you want to talk about dead roster spots. I think the potential for him to be a dead roster spot is higher than some of the other guys that we're talking about with this situation.
You mean a 6th round pick behind Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins is a potential for a dead roster spot? Whoever could have guessed that. We look back and we're like, Kamani Vidal at pick 160 or whatever it's going to be a thing because everybody sees the perks, right? You see the injured J.K. Dobbins, dusty. Gus isn't dusty, but he's Gus. He's
Gus
just
Edwards.
He's not anything special. So the roadblocks are very, very small, which is a great perk for Kamani Vidal. But the market has we've all seen it,
mm-hmm.
And so there are other situations. I haven't taken him all that much, and I like him. I see all the same perks that everybody else does. I just think that it's one of those situations where the market has decided, well, this is the sexy late round running back. And it's like, yeah, but like, what about Rasheen Ali for Baltimore? What's the difference?
Right.
I understand Derrick Henry is a flashier name than Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, but like, he's the handcuff. What if he's the handcuff to Derrick Henry and Derrick Henry doesn't play every down already as it is, and his roadblock is Justice Hill, which is like never been a roadblock to any running back of all time. So to your point, I think there are arbitrage examples of Kamani Vidal that fit. And that is the case for a lot of guys. There's going to be guys who steam up, and then we're going to get to training camp here soon over the summer. And some of those guys are going to fall because it can be like, oh no, Kamani Vidal is running with the 5s. he's the 5th running back in the depth chart or whatever early, and then he's going to fall back down. And so I'm just trying to play it a little bit different. The Eli Mitchell pick, I think, was the great example of what I'm trying to do right now. Do I want to like place all my chips in the world on Eli Mitchell being the handcuff to CMC right now? Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. But we used to have to take that kind of guy. CMC is the 101. To get the handcuff to the 101, you used to have to take a really high pick on that guy.
12th round last year. Off the top of my head, was Eli Mitchell. Maybe
there was the last year Zeke was in Dallas before, of course, this year. Zeke went in the 5th and Pollard went in the 7th. And Pollard was basically just a straight handcuff. Dalvin Cook would go in the 2nd. Alexander Madison would go in the 7th. Like that's that. I know it's a different market. I'm not trying to compare apples to apples, but I'm just saying how it was before. Now you have a chance of the CMC handcuff at pick 200 in the current wide receiver climate and all of that. Those are the kinds of situations I'm trying to pounce on right now. And look, if I burn that team, if I burn that pick 200, right? We drafted this puppy team and we find out it's Garendo, I can always pivot. But I'm trying to pounce on those situations right now as opposed to chase the same players everyone else is chasing up the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this also goes back to our discussion a few weeks ago where we said sometimes you have to think like a coaching staff, like the coaching staff, and not like a talent evaluator, right? And I think these are some of the key situations to think like a coaching staff. What is the coaching staff going to want to do with these situations? In San Francisco, you probably just want to play Eli Mitchell because he knows the offense. He's going to keep Brock Purdy safe. Garendo is going to have to come out and be a ball of fire at practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to just absolutely set the world on fire at practice to even have a chance at out snapping Eli Mitchell. And, part of that could be Eli Mitchell just looking like he lost a step too. But right now, I guarantee you that depth chart at the moment is CMC, Eli Mitchell, maybe Garendo at the.
And they're open to changing it. But right now, into the summer, but the best ball market has not dictated it as such. And so those are the kind of, that's one situation. I'm not telling you to go draft Eli Mitchell and every team. Maybe I am, but you don't have to do that. But thinking through each situation through that lens, I think, as opposed to just being like, no, it's Kamani Vidal season. It's like, you didn't know who Kamani Vidal was 2 months ago, and now you're drafting him in the 160s or whatever on Underdog. I just want to make sure I'm cognizant of those facts. Tomorrow, if you are not a part of the Discord, we have a fun little event that we do on every single Tuesday. It is at 6 p.m. Eastern. You have to be in the Discord, but it is 100% free if you're in there. We do what we like to call the lab for about an hour. A bunch of us get together. It's just honestly on a Zoom call. You can be totally silent. You can post in the chat, or of course you can join in the conversation. And a bunch of us hang out and we talk best ball strategy. Whatever is on everybody's mind, we kind of go around the room. Everybody gets to talk. It's like a happy hour, if you will, but we're all just hanging out, talking best ball. That is on Tuesdays in the Discord. And on Wednesday, I'll be back drafting on Drafters. We are about to launch, but I'll give it away to all you fun folks watching. If you sign up for Spike Week Premium, our tools, the tool subscription, you can get a free ticket to the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship. That includes anyone that is currently subscribed. So I'm about to launch that, announce that tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And on Wednesday, I'll be giving away a free ticket and drafting on Drafters, maybe in the $2. We'll have some fun, just like we did tonight in the puppy. Rob, you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, go Celtics.
Go Celtics by 25. Jason Tatum, don't be a coward. Let's do it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Rob, we'll see you guys Sunday. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, Boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date. That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.